the same thing, and I needed to save everything for evidence. Sophia added that she'd struggled with an ED too, and anyone who would weaponize that was absolute trash, and she'd personally tell the whole class if he tried anything. Their messages made me cry with relief because I'd been so scared they'd judge me or think differently of me, but instead they were just protective and angry on my behalf. Around 2 that afternoon, Preston's sister Jasmine called me, and she sounded really upset as she told me Preston had shown up at her apartment at 5 a.m., completely drunk and ranting about how I'd turned everyone against him. She said she'd been recording his voicemails to her because she was worried about my safety and wanted documentation if I needed it for anything legal. I thanked her and we talked for a few minutes about how she'd never seen him act like this before, and she was honestly scared of what he might do next. After we hung up, I spent the rest of the afternoon deep cleaning my apartment, stripping the bed and washing all the sheets, throwing away his toothbrush and the body wash he kept in my shower, and packing up everything else that reminded me of him. I found one of his hoodies in my closet, and instead of feeling sad, I just felt relieved that I wouldn't have to see it anymore. Miranda texted me about doing some cleansing ritual where we'd burn all his stuff, but I just put everything in a bag for donation because I didn't want to deal with setting anything on fire in my apartment. Monday morning, I got to work early trying to get back to normal, but when I walked into my office, there was this huge bouquet of roses on my desk with a card that said he was sorry for everything and to please give him another chance, signed with just a P. My coworkers were all gathered around cooing over how romantic it was, but I felt like I was going to throw up. I picked up the whole arrangement, walked straight to the break room trash can, and dumped the entire thing, vase and all, making sure everyone saw me do it. About an hour later, my boss called me into her office looking concerned, and she told me Preston had called the company's main line trying to reach me since I'd blocked his number. She asked if this was going to affect my work, or if we needed to involve security, and I assured her it wouldn't, but appreciated her having security keep an eye out just in case. During my lunch break, I was eating my salad at my desk when my phone buzzed with a text from Derek, Preston's best friend from college, asking to meet for coffee to clear the air and help fix things between us. I politely declined, but he kept pushing, saying Preston was really struggling and not himself, and I needed to understand his side of things. I blocked Derek's number too because I didn't need anyone trying to guilt me into taking Preston back or making excuses for his behavior. The rest of my workday dragged on, and by 6 o'clock I was packing up my stuff to head home. The subway platform was packed with the usual Monday evening crowd, but something felt off. I kept catching glimpses of baseball caps in my peripheral vision, and my heart would race every single time. A guy in a Yankees cap stood too close behind me on the escalator, and I practically ran up the steps. Another man wearing a Mets cap sat across from me on the train, and I switched cars at the next stop, even though it made me late. By the time I got to my building, I was exhausted from checking over my shoulder every 5 seconds. The doorman waved at me like usual, and I took the elevator up to my floor. When the doors opened, I froze. Preston was sitting on the floor outside my apartment with a pizza box and a bottle of wine next to him. He looked up with this weird smile and said we should have our regular Monday dinner like nothing had happened. I immediately backed into the elevator and pressed the lobby button over and over until the doors closed. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely dial the building security number. The security desk told me to wait in the lobby while they sent someone up to deal with him. I texted my landlord about changing the locks and getting Preston banned from the building while I waited. She texted back immediately that Mrs. Davidson had already called her that afternoon, and the paperwork to officially trespass